If you're going to post this, can I just say one thing?
Aye, say it, be nice.
Right. Run, and you may live. Fight, and you may die.
And run!
But lying in your beds, at least a while, would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance, to tell our enemies they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom! Come on, brother!
If the road were easy, everyone would take it. We don't shy away from challenges. We dive in. And now, live from an undisclosed location in FEMA Region 10, it's your host, Joshua Michael.
Welcome, folks. Joshua Michael here, Non-Compliant America. Thank you very much for joining me on this special Saturday broadcast on the Memorial Day weekend. Let's just take a moment here to honor all of our fallen heroes, honor all of our first responders and military men that are out serving this great country and allowing it. And let's not forget, this is one of the greatest countries in the world. And they may do anything and everything that they can to try to demoralize us. And I just want to address something here today. A lot of people criticize this show for being too negative, fear-mongering, fear porn, just trying to scare everybody. Just to understand, here's the thing. I got a download today, and here's my message for today. There is a very positive future that's about to happen, and it's happening right now. There is a lot of hope. There's a lot of generations waking up. People are understanding the fight that we are in. And I just want to congratulate the entire planet and the world and everybody that we are enacting in God's will to preserve the sanctuary of innocence and the preservation of our futures and humanity. And I am so honored and so grateful to be here today, to be living and to be able to have this message to you. Now, we are in a fight, we are in a battle. But there's moments that we need to mourn, there's moments we need to give thanks, and there's moments that we need to acknowledge all the great pathways and the accomplishments that have been done to this point. And all the great men and women that have got us here, the whistleblowers, everybody. First and foremost, I do want to mention it makes sure it's very important that you filter your water. I can't express it enough. I'm going to get this guy Brandon from Rocky Mountain Water Distillers. He's coming on. He's on vacation right now, but he's going to be on Non-Compliant America in the next couple weeks, and we are very, very excited to have him on. He's a very well-versed gentleman who knows a lot about the importance of water filtration. And one of the best water filtration systems that I've come across personally is a water distiller. And I'm happy. I posted on my X this morning. I am very happy I finally got my water distiller. And it's currently sanitizing the tanks right now. So hopefully we'll be drinking some good, clean water. I'm going to do a cleanse. I'm not going to buy coffees. I'm not going to drink any water from the restaurants. I'm not going to do any of that. I am strictly going to drink my distilled water for 1 month. Now, there's processes on how to remineralize it after it's been distilled. There's a lot of arguments out there and a lot of misinformation because we know we're in the misinformation wing. More importantly, this is what I don't want to get on too much of a tangent, but it's so interesting. There's so much information on the internet. There's so much backstory and history and where things and how things have transpired to today's culture, down to the medicines that we take. Everybody takes Tylenol when you got a headache, right? And there's all these things that we do. We don't know why we do them. We think that they work, and we just do them. We're just all defaulted. But where all that came from is the early 1900s and the Industrial Revolution, kind of going into the greater society, the just the technological advancements from horse buggies to vehicles to motors to engines to fossil fuels, which actually aren't fossil fuels. They're called fossil fuels to make it seem like they're rare, but they have nothing to do with fossils. And all of this stuff. And so we've kind of acclimated into this domestication through technology. And as great as it's been, as great as it is, it's also kind of put us in a box in the sense of free and open-minded thinking. We've gotten away from it. We've deferred and deterred away from inventing concepts and ideas. Like we're consumers now, rather than inventors, rather than engineers, rather than there's a leaky faucet, right? Well, what do? We all go to YouTube and get told how to fix it. We never think about how we can fix it and what tools and mechanisms are out there. And so I'd encourage you this weekend and from here on out and from everything else, rather than going to the default of asking or trying to figure out what the issue is, use your mind, use your brain, right? Get away from the cell phone, get away from this stuff. Another happy accomplishment that's been done, just kind of being informative and being open and being transparent. And you know what? We like to practice what we preach here. So I will tell you, I've officially opted out of my smart meter systems on my house and my shop. So if you want to do that, you can contact the power company. There's an opt-out form. They actually come and they swap out these smart meters themselves. So it's a big accomplishment. It's great for the health and the future of our detoxification lifestyle, because we're being barraged and bombarded in every way by the federal government, by these agencies, these corporations. They're poisoning our water. They're poisoning our air. They're poisoning the food supply. They're diminishing the food supply. They're poisoning the meat. They're injecting pigs now with this mRNA, which they're not reacting to it very well, which, as you know, is the COVID mRNA experimental vaccine. And so it's relentless attacks to try to sterilize you, to try to demoralize you, to try to make you depressed and everything else. And so part of the path and the future and the whole premise of this show is to get you active and engaged in your life, being non-compliant in these systems. Don't just drink the tap water that they push down your throat. Don't just do this. Ask these restaurants, be active. Hey, do you guys filter your water, and how do you filter it? Right? Did you know this? Did you know that? There's a short clip I want to play of a gentleman that breaks down. It's just a quick short minute clip. He breaks down what I was talking about last week in regards to water filtration and how these city municipalities, where they get their water, how they filter it, and the things that they test for. There's an extraordinary amount of things that they don't test for. Take a listen.
Sadly, the kitchen tap in most homes spews out an estrogenic cocktail. Where does that water come from? Rivers, streams, lakes, reservoirs, and groundwater. Oh, and your recycled pee. Treated, of course, but know this. Water treatment plants are not equipped to remove ethinyl estradiol from birth control pills that 100 million women worldwide consume and excrete every day. And that's a proper estrogen, not an imitator, and a potent one, released into the water supply. I'm just saying, these pharmaceutical estrogens are turning up in bodies of water all over the globe. The same bodies of water we draw from to drink. Now, I'm not opposed to oral contraception. Don't miss the point. In fact, the use of veterinarian estrogen is more than 5 times the use of oral contraceptives. And that was 15 years ago. I'm sure it's more now. Heck, you and I flush natural hormones down the toilet every day. The point is, it's there in the water, and water's a recycled commodity. Your municipal water company is probably not even testing for hormones. You have to filter them. That's the only way they come out. A simple activated charcoal filter will do it, or a membrane filter that's in a reverse osmosis system. Different geographies will have different amounts of estrogen in the water. Some may have next to none. But remember, even a little adds to your total estrogenic exposure.
The tiniest bit of additional estrogen that kids are ingesting, which would make sense why, the feminization of little boys and, younger men, they're very feminine and effeminate. That's not all entirely just the culture, right? There's a chemical incentive. There's a chemical castration is what I like to call it that's happening to these generations. That's why you got, 6, 7-year-old little girls starting their periods and just this extraordinary amount of hormones being consumed. Not just the water. It's in the food supply. It's in a bunch of different things. But water is a primary focus. And the way that you get that out, that one of the ways, as he said, a charcoal filter and reverse osmosis filter. But I believe in the distilling, and I'm going to try the distilling because I think that's going to be the ticket. Everybody's going to want one of these in their household. You can virtually take any type of water now, and it converts it to steam, which then it does the molecule and kind of breaks it down into its pure water form. Again, the argument is it has no minerals. Well, that's easy. You can get some very, very pure Celtic salts, from the Mexican salt mines, is the one that I recommend to use. And you can just simply stir a little bit of that into your water jug or whatever, boom, it's remineralized. Now, I'm going to try it without the mineralization for a month personally and try to do that and just see if that makes a difference or if I'm able to benefit from that. So I'm going to give that a try. That's interesting, right? Some new data was released by the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, reveals, now this is from the EPA, right? Trust the science, right, guys? 89.3 million Americans consume drinking water contaminated with toxic PFAS, also known as forever chemicals. 89 million. This alarming statistic is based on the initial tests covering approximately 1/3 of the water system. So they only tested 1/3 of the water systems, indicating that the actual scale of the contamination could be much more extensive. They only tested 1/3. So multiply that by 1/3 or 2/3, and you're getting in the hundreds of millions being affected by this. And the reality is we're all being affected by it because, as we spoke before, they're not testing for these things. And it's kind of a plausible deniability. You can call it budgeting. You can call it ignorance. You can call it whatever you want. I think it's strategic, but it also explains a lot of why we're experiencing some of the things that we are culturally. Now, the way that you fight back on that is you do start filtering your water. So the revelation aligns with the Biden administration's recent implementation of stringent drinking water standards for PFAS aimed at significantly reducing health risks and improving water quality nationwide. They understand this wave is coming. Now, here's the thing. The Biden administration getting behind forever chemicals, I'm not buying it. It's kind of like the Patriot Act, right? Or the American Freedom Act, which violates your freedom. Patriot Act violates your freedom, takes your freedom away, allows them to spy on you. Department of Homeland Security was established immediately following 9/11 to quote-unquote protect us. And we've seen the abuse that has happened over that. It's another rogue agency that's able to revoke and destroy your rights. The standards are set at a limit of 4 parts per trillion for the most harmful PFAS compounds. PFOA and PFOS are reflecting the commitment to safeguard public health, right? So they're showing that the water is going from the river, getting into the river, going to the water waste, water cleansing system, and redistributing back into the city. So all the soil farms, the glyphosates, all of that stuff, it's getting into your water supply. And we're not, just because we have one of the best aquifers in the world, doesn't mean that we're prone to not having these things. I personally think they're dumping even more here because our standards and regulations are even lower than most cities and states because we're not getting a hold of this. Now, they don't have half these chemicals. You can't find them in Europe. They're not putting them in the water supply in Europe. You're listening to Joshua Michael. We got Donna Kreitzburg from Let Oregon Learn on with us next to talk about how we're going to fight back about the Oregon education system. We'll be right back.
It's time to unmask the truth and expose the lies, breaking through the censorship and content. It's Joshua Michael with Non-Compliant America.
Welcome back, folks. Joshua Michael, Non-Compliant America. As you know, we talk a lot about all types of things going on in Oregon, how we can impact Oregon, how we can have a better future for our kids, everything else. And the other day, I was at a political coffee, and I ran into a Donna Kreitzburg. Hopefully I said that correctly. And she is with a group and an organization called Let Them Learn Oregon. And I'm going to let Donna talk about it a little bit more, but I think this is one of the most unifying policies and pushes that we can do to benefit the entirety of Oregon education, the future of kids, the future of education. What she has to say and what she's talking about is really crystallizing in the sense of, you know, why aren't we able to get funding for our kids, and why aren't we able to, as parents, act on behalf of our children for what's best for them? Because ultimately, that's what the job of the parent is. So I'm going to introduce Donna Kreitzburg. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you.
Very, very nice. Did you hop over the barbed wire and go through all the secret tunnels and get the secret messages to get here at this undisclosed location?
I did. I went by all the security guards and gave them the secret handshake.
They were nice.
They
all
were.
You got to do is give them cookies. That's the secret. But very welcome. Very happy to have you here. So tell us a little about Let Them Learn Oregon. What does it mean? What are you guys about? What are you doing? And how can we help my listeners?
Absolutely. We are a group of moms, dads, grandparents, teachers, ordinary citizens that came together because we love kids. We want to make sure that all Oregon kids get a good education. We basically believe three truths. Children are unique and they learn differently. Parents love their children and they want the best for them. And one of the best things parents can do is make sure they get a good education. So we take those three truths and we decide we need to empower parents to be the decision makers on where their children go to school so that all children will be able to go to the learning environment that works for them. And that, in essence, is school choice, education choice, whatever you want to call it. It's the idea that the child needs to go to the learning environment that works for that child, whether it's more challenging or has a little more assistance, whether it allows them to go at their own pace. And that could be any of the four main areas that we have: public district, public charter, private school, homeschool. Those are the four main areas. We want to make sure that our children can freely move to the learning environment that works for them. That's what school choice is. In order to bring that to Oregon, we have two measures, open enrollment and school choice. And taken together, those two measures will empower the parent to recognize what their child needs and be able to have the child go to that learning environment.
So let's break that down a little bit more. Let's start with the school choice element. You know, obviously, we all are buying and purchasing houses. There's more houses for sale than I've seen, I think, in a very long time. Everybody's selling. But one of the key things when a family's moving into a neighborhood is they're going on Zillow, they're checking out what the ranking is for the school, right? Different schools have different rankings, and it seems to be a very mitigating factor for deciding for people to move in those locations, right? So with the open enrollment, or is it school choice, is that going to give the option for the parents themselves to decide where the child goes to school? Or if they're still in that district, are they still going to have to go to that particular public school based on whatever district that they're in? Or are they able to choose, say, a school across town to enroll their child in? What's the distinguishing factor with that? Do you understand?
Yeah, so the open enrollment policy says that if you want your child to remain in the public school system, right now, wherever you live determines the school you're assigned to. And that may be a good fit, but it also might not be a good fit. And it's referenced as zip code discrimination because certain people can afford to move into a school district that has what are considered better schools, and that excludes a whole bunch of people that can't afford to move there. So by its nature, having boundaries that determine the educational outcome of a child based on how rich the parents are is discriminatory. And we don't want that.
Yeah, and I understand that. But what's going to stop, say, every child from maybe a lower demographic area to have their parents just enroll them into, say, West Salem High School, which is a pretty prominent school around here? What's to say that everybody just doesn't flood that particular school? Are there limitations? Are there restrictions? Are there still, seat restrictions or anything like that in order to say yes or no? Is there an approval process that needs to happen in order for that to happen?
Yes. So what we're doing is we're letting the parent decide which school works for them. But we're also not telling a public school that they have to add a second floor or a modular building. So we're letting the parents say, look, I'm assigned to school A, but I want my child to go to school B. If there is available space, after all the children in that district get their chairs, if there's still 5 chairs available in the 7th grade, and I want my child to go to that school, the school has to take my child.
Okay, that was one of the things that I was kind of curious about. But the other element that I really like about this is the ability for charter schools, private schools, as well as homeschools. So if I wanted to start homeschooling my children and this stuff went through, would that money be utilized to the parent deciding to do the homeschool curriculum?
Yeah, and let me back up. Sometimes people misunderstand. So a charter school is still a public school.
Okay.
So the open enrollment amendment will allow a parent to choose any district school or charter school, regardless of where the family lives. Because oftentimes they could live in District A, but maybe the mom works in District B, or that's where the babysitter is for aftercare. So there are a lot of reasons that the parent would want the child in a different district. It would also apply to a charter school. So the parent could choose a charter school that has available space. And the other thing that it does is it removes the artificial cap that exists right now on virtual charter schools. There's no reason to cap those, because if 10% of the children need to go to a virtual school, then they should be able to. So the amendment will obliterate that cap. So open enrollment says you go to any school. After you've determined that there's space in the school has to let you in. Alternate from that is the school choice amendment, which says if public school is not the right option for your child, then the parent can take a portion of existing dollars, direct those dollars to the learning environment that works in the private sector, private schools, homeschools, tutors, education therapists. Customize what education the child needs in the private sector using the existing tax money, not raising taxes. And it allows the parent then to choose among all the different learning environments and have the money flow to the child.
All right, guys, we got Donna Kreitzburg with us from LetThemLearnOregon.com, and we'll be more right on the other side.
I knew it was going to be that one. That's like the first one you think of with him. That one or the Joker and the Lopotamus of Love or whatever the...
Oh, the Joker, yeah. I like Abracadabra. That was always a good one. I saw Steve when he came to the fair, I think it was a couple years ago. Welcome back, folks. Joshua Michael, Non-Compliant America. We got Donna Kreitzburg on with us, talking about Let Them Learn Oregon, which is an open enrollment campaign, and school choice, which I think is one of the most fundamental core issues in the state of Oregon. As you know, Oregon's been struggling, a lot of educational struggles, especially with COVID, everything else. We're one of the lowest states for success, I think, looking right here at these districts. So, our district here in Salem-Keizer, absentees, they're at like 47% in 2023, which is after COVID. It's just unbelievable. So there's a lot of data, a lot of statistics, I'd like to go through with you statistically versus where the rest of the country is at, where Oregon's at. I think this is a very, very good thing. The question I have for you is, has this ever been done before? How did you develop this idea of open enrollment and school choice?
Well, we had open enrollment in Oregon from 2012 to 2019. Then the legislature killed it. So we're bringing open enrollment back, but we're making it more focused on the needs of the child. School choice across the country is going gangbusters. Gangbusters, thank you. And we basically have seen since COVID a huge increase in school choice programs across the country. There are now 33 states and 80 different programs where children are empowered to choose the learning environment. Oregon doesn't have that. Oregon needs it. Oregon students deserve it. So basically, I got together with moms, dads, grandparents, teachers, legislators, constitutional attorneys, and we looked at legislation that had been proposed in Oregon and went nowhere, and proposed and passed across the country, took the best features of those, created 2 amendments to the Oregon Constitution that will bypass the legislature. So the words that we choose will go into the Oregon Constitution, which is the supreme law of Oregon. And the reason we have to do it that way is we want the permanence and protection of the measures to remain. We don't want it to become a football for political activists. We want the idea of parents know their children, parents should choose which learning environment works best, and the money should follow the child to that learning environment, because we all pay taxes, a portion of which go to education. And the Oregon Constitution already provides that money is for Oregon students, full stop. Not just little Johnny over in one school, but not Susie in a different. It's for all the kids. So these measures will allow the money to fund the school that works for the child.
So these measures are not going to increase taxes at all?
No, they're using the existing pot of money, and actually the studies across the country show that school choice programs save taxpayers money. And the way that you can understand that is when a child leaves public school, they take all their costs, but only a portion of their allotted revenue. So the public schools continue to have lower costs and more revenue from what the child left. So there's more money available for the students, and that's also a tax savings because the government doesn't have to raise taxes to fund more public school students. So it's a tax savings, but what it really is it increases academics for all students, because for the first time, all schools will compete for a child. So it forces all schools to up their game, bring more innovation, listen to the needs of parents, deliver a better educational product, because now they're all saying, hey, choose my school. We can offer this to the child. We are STEM focused or art focused or whatever focus the school wants to have, and that appeals to the needs of the child. So the money should go where the child is going, and the child will go to the learning environment that works for them.
Yeah. So where can people go right now to support you, and then what do you need help with? What? Because I know we had some scheduling things and we were all over the place, and you're like, I'm going to go here and I'm going to go here. I mean, you're all over the state, it seems like, which is great, because you're a soldier in this, and it's awesome. Where can people go? How can people support you? What's the next step that you're working on currently?
Well, we are gathering petition signatures right now for the 2 measures. We have 40 days left. We have to get 160,000 signatures for each measure. We have about 33,000 for each measure. So we have a boatload of signatures yet to get, but people can go to the website, letthemlearnoregon.com. On the website, they can print out the petition forms, either a single signer just for themselves or a 10-liner where they can sign and then ask 9 of their friends to sign, and then hopefully make more copies and go out and ask another 10 and another 10.
Does the 10-liner need to be filled out completely in order to submit it to you?
No, but ideally the person would get 10 signatures, then sign at the bottom as circulator. And you just basically have to go up and say, hey, Josh, are you a registered Oregon voter? Yes. Would you like to sign these measures? Yes. Good. Sign here as you registered to vote, which nobody remembers. So use your best penmanship, sign, then print date, name, address.
And there's 2 forms to fill out.
Yes, because we have the open enrollment measure, which is number 5, and the school choice measure, which is number 6. So it's easy peasy. Print them out, sign them as a circulator. You sign at the bottom, mail them in to us by June 30. It would be ideal if everybody prints those out and gets for themselves 100 signatures, mails them in by June 30. We'll add them all up. Hopefully it'll push us way over the threshold of 160,000.
Yeah.
I then drive them down on July 5 to the Secretary of State in batches of 200. They spend a month statistically sampling. They tell us you're good. You'll be on the November ballot. And then it's time for go out and get out the vote, tell folks that all the benefits of these measures, have 50% plus one vote on November 5. They pass, they become effective for fall of 25. And then at that point, Oregon education just explodes in a positive way. Students are getting the education they need. They're graduating with skill sets. They're going out and being productive. There's no need for them to go into crime and homelessness. That helps Oregon. Parents that have left Oregon, they come back. Businesses come back. Oregon booms. The kids are doing a great job. It's a heyday for everybody. It'll be wonderful.
And you said that there are some other states doing this very thing currently, correct?
Yes, there's 33 other states with 80 different programs across the country. Florida, Arizona are the two premier ones that have been in the longest. Phenomenal success where Florida had been, 23rd ranking for its school, and now it's third. So with school choice, it empowers all students to learn the proficiency, the academics, the enthusiasm, the success for high school graduation, the college enrollment. All of those things go up. And they go up for both the students who stay in public school and the students who leave, because the competition of each school competing for students innovates all the schools to up their game and bring a better product. So all students benefit from it.
Yeah, because I'm trying to look up Arizona education data over the past 10 years, seeing the graduation rates. So it's all broken down, but looks like in 2010. When did they enact it? Do you know?
Well, they did universal 2 years ago, so I think it was 22.
Okay, so they're right in the thick of it.
So those data should be coming in, but Florida has been in the game for much longer, and there's lots of articles to show that students are doing phenomenally well. Schools are prospering, and the students are freely able to go to the environment that works for them. It hasn't crashed public schools. It hasn't defunded them. It hasn't caused a catastrophe. It has improved education for all kids.
Because the focus becomes then on recruiting the kids, because now the parents have a choice.
Right.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. We're really hoping that we're able to push this through, you guys, and make sure to go to letthemlearnoregon.com. I'm going to post it on my X page as well as on this podcast. Donna, what else? What do you have in plan? What else can people do? Is there a donation page? Do you need funding? What else can we help to push this thing over the finish line?
Yeah, the three things are sign petitions and ask your neighbors to sign. Spread the word to everybody that you know, letthemlearnoregon.com, and then money. This isn't just something that happens overnight. This is something that takes a lot of money. Just simple things like the cost of printing, the cost of mailing, the cost of doing the advertising and doing our brochures and the yard signs that you're hopefully seeing. So all that costs money.
All right. So once this thing goes through and, the money comes through, how much money is being allotted for each student based on this new measure that's being proposed?
So with the school choice amendment, about $7,600 per child per year will become available to the parents. The parents won't touch it. It'll go into an account at a nonprofit that the parent chooses. Then the parent just directs that money. And what's wonderful about it is when the parents are able to spend that money on their child, they will instinctively be frugal and cautious and wise with it. And if they have $7,600 but they don't spend it all, whatever they don't spend that year will flop to the next year. Then they'll get the next allotment and so forth. So that by the time the child completes high school, it's possible they could have $10,000 in there. And at that point, the child is then able to take that money to an Oregon college, university, trade school, or vocational school. So we squeeze every ounce of value out of this money. It can allow the child to have a wonderful K through 12 and then higher education or trade school. And we need pipe fitters, we need welders, we need all those skills too. So it incentivizes children to be frugal and to complete high school, because then they have the opportunity to use that leftover money to go to higher education.
Right. And one of the things that we mentioned at Political Coffee is that in these more private institutions, private school, they tend to be more fiscally responsible when it comes to spending money. So they're able to stretch that dollar a lot farther. So as you might say, $7,600, it's not really that much, but in the private industry, it can be an astronomical amount in impacting the child's education and opportunities, different things. Donna, thank you very, very much for coming here today. Again, guys, go to letthemlearnoregon.com. Where are you off to next? Where are you going after this?
So my husband's truck is loaded up with supplies and signs, and we're going down to Medford with stops all down I-5 to deliver supplies to everybody.
Awesome. Well, congratulations to you, and thank you very much for making the time today.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
They never catching us lacking. Me and my buddy, we working hard for this money.
Welcome back, folks. Last segment here. I love the movie Braveheart. That's probably top 5, one of my favorite movies. I just love the message, the patriotism and the commitment and the camaraderie and the brotherhood and just all of these great things that are wrapped up into that movie. It's very emotional. It's a good movie. I might watch it this weekend. Anyways, back to our children. I really want to thank Donna for coming on. It was a great interview. It's a great thing to get behind because ultimately, what's worth living? Our great grandparents, or our great grandchildren, our grandchildren, our children, our kids, just the future, the integrity of this country, as well as just humanity in itself. It's very important that we take charge of these lifestyle choices that we have and not let these giant corporations just decide how we need to exist and what's good for us. Like, we can't trust the FDA to look out for our kids. Like, we can see how nefarious and wrong they've been. And that's why they don't want to really unwind this COVID thing, even though it is unwinding drastically. We're all now recognizing it was a giant fraud. It was a big scam from the day one. It was all coerced. Now the CIA was involved in some propaganda, manipulating some of the data that was being put out by, I believe, Pfizer. The data they were putting out, it was all a big scam to get you to take this poison to ultimately disrupt your genetic bloodline so they can exterminate us and depopulate the planet, which is the ultimate agenda, whether you want to believe it or not. It is absolutely true. That's not my words. That's them saying this directly to you in many, 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 many instances. It is not a coincidence. It is not a Freudian slip. They're hoping that you don't look it up. They're hoping that you don't recognize it. They're hoping that you don't listen to this show. They're hoping that you don't get involved. They're hoping all of these things, and they're banking you sitting on your butt, watching Netflix, or going on vacation and just trying to make all of this stuff go away. Pretend it doesn't exist. That's one way to solve your issues. One more thing I want to get into. This is not normal. And this is by the Raw Egg Nationalist. I don't know if you've read any of his articles. But we're supposed to believe that the stunning rise in rates of ADHD in children diagnosis is simply a result of better detection methods and growing awareness, right? It's kind of like saying, oh, well, we never tested for it before. It was always a problem. It's always been a problem in the world, but now we're just able to detect it better. Now we have better sensors, right? And this was a conversation I had with a friend of mine the other day, talking about the development of mental health. The word mental health and where it came from. Well, you know where it came from, right? It stems from Nazi Germany in World War I, World War II. The development of mental health and the white coat and the doctor and the superiority of the science, right? We all used to participate in science. And here's something that really pisses me off and annoys me. And this is something more of what leftists and liberals do. But there's conservatives that do it too. Here's the thing. If you don't have a PhD in, say, biology, does that mean you are less qualified to have an opinion about it? Does that mean that you're incapable of deciphering what's right and what's wrong, what's good and what's bad? You're incapable of understanding a textbook unless you have this degree or this certification that somebody gave you somewhere, some scientist, doctor, professor, blah, 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 blah. That's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And let me tell you why. So many people give everybody else the power over them to decide what's good and what's bad. You trust the science, you trust the doctors, you trust the nonsense. You have to take that back. You have to grab that back and say, you know what? I might not have graduated. Big deal. Who cares if you didn't graduate? That doesn't make you any less qualified to understand things. There's a misnomer in this country to think that you have to have a higher education to be smart. That is absolutely ridiculous. In fact, I think the other way. Now, granted, there are some very smart people with some college degrees and PhDs. I used to talk to a doctor, and she was a lawyer, then became a doctor, and it's just a crazy amount of education. Very smart, very well-rounded, great person. But your degree doesn't define you. Your degree doesn't mean you're smarter than everybody else. Just means that you chose a path to what I think is, a path to be a slave. And getting a degree is not all what it's hyped up to be, and we're seeing that in droves in the workforce. I've hired people that graduated from Willamette University, a prestigious school. I've hired them. Guess what? I went to college, wasn't for me. Wasn't for me at all. I'm not that kind of guy. I don't do that, and I believe that I'm on my path that I should be on, and I do what I'm going to do. I don't need college to define me and to make me smart. If I want to learn something, I'm going to dive in and I'm going to learn it. For example, I started this other company about 3 years ago. Didn't really know anything about it. I put all the experts and all the people that have been in the industry for many, many years. I think I had 50, 60 years of experience around me. I asked questions. I looked. I explored. I was humble. I asked and I explored. And you just have to really apply yourself. And so anybody can do anything. And that's the American dream. That's the American system. So if you ever look back and look at these old videos of these people, there's one famous one where a guy has a bike, and it's a bike with helicopter propellers on top of it. And he's riding it. What happened to that? What happened to those great times and those great inventions and everything else? And I do believe that we all have that inside of us. We just have to apply ourselves. That's what I tell my guys when they're working, and they call me and they ask questions and they're trying to figure things out. It's like, okay, the best mentor obviously is get them to apply themselves. Like, did you try this? Did you try this? Absolutely, this, that, and the other thing. They say, yeah. If they don't tell me that they applied themselves before they reach out to me, then that's a learning opportunity for them. Because it's like, hey, listen, just because I'm going to come in here and I'm going to look at the equation the same way that you are, but how is it that I'm able to figure that out? And they're like, well, you've just done this for a long time, da da da. It's like, no. You have to be able to apply yourself and think about these types of things. So that's all in there, but I also think it's all related to our diet and the detoxification, which is going to be my main focus for this month, is detoxifying. Get out of that. Take those extra steps, those extra precautions, read things. If you're hungry, like for example, let me give you an example. I go out to a restaurant, and this is what I do everywhere now. They're like, hey, do you want some water? No, I'm okay. I'll eat food unless I bring my own water. I'm just gonna eat the food, and I'm not gonna drink anything. Sometimes I'll have a glass of wine or something like that. But and I understand. I know what that is. But for the most part, I'm not drinking that water. I'm not consuming that, and that's just one little level of practice. And it might seem crazy. It might seem ridiculous. It might seem, over the top and a nut job, but I absolutely believe that we, through our cultural demands, can shift the market into requiring these companies to start filtering your water. Thank you very much for listening to me today. Joshua Michael, Noncompliant America. Make sure to go to noncompliantamerica.com and have a wonderful Memorial weekend, and we'll see you next week.